I've got it! Finally found out the formula for how the Beam Emitter works after it was changed back in patch 1.08 of Mass Effect Andromeda. Let's take a look. For those unsure and to just generally alleviate confusion, while the Beam Emitter was changed massively in patch 1.08, it was not changed further in patch 1.09. So while this video is talking about changes made in 1.08, it is fully up to date, and I will adjust the title of the video to match whichever the current patch is, provided it is still up to date. So for those of you who don't know, the Beam Emitter is an augment that changes both the fire type of weapon to automatic and the projectile type to a big beamy laser. When Andromeda first released, this was just awful. It reduced the damage of every weapon you put it into to an unusable degree, but not anymore. The formula was grabbed directly from the game files by an awesome and friendly modder called Hello Isaac, so let's take a closer look. The formula is actually quite simple, but the results are not. The formula is damage times rate of fire, you then divide that by 600 and there you have the new damage of the weapon. You also gain 200 stability and perfect accuracy. Now if you thought about it for a second, this doesn't change the DPS at all, it just changes the damage to fit 600 rate of fire. It finds out the total damage dealt within a minute and then divides it by the new rate of fire. But you test this and something both annoying and interesting happens. The damage and rate of fire of the weapon doesn't change, at least on the visible stats, nor does the accuracy. You fire the weapon and it continues at its normal rate of fire, the damage is also the same as before. In other words, ignore the damage and rate of fire aspect, this means nothing. This is good though, as it keeps the damage the same while adding perfect accuracy and stability, which indirectly increases DPS, more so on low accuracy high damage weapons. It also changes the fire type to automatic. This fire type function overrides the other 3 fire type augments, but to what degree? Well, a little more testing confirmed it only overrides the fire type aspect, meaning you can do some cool things. A few myths going around are that the Beam Emitter increases damage towards armoured targets. I hope this was true, but nothing in the game code supports this. There is no shield or armour modifier connected to this augment. This is likely from the skewed perspective of observational evidence. I myself have done many in the past, and while better than nothing, observation as a recording method for things like this just isn't accurate at all. I've come back to this section after all of the tests, as I've found out exactly where the damage and rate of fire formula comes into play. While the gun takes ammo the same as before and its stats appear the same, the new damage with the 600 rate of fire is only applied to how the enemy itself takes the damage. If you watch their health go down, that goes down at the 600 rate of fire, but the pulses and ammo goes down at the original rate of fire. This means that pulsing for a slow rate of fire weapon, as if to use it like a semi-auto, doesn't really work fully, as it stops the stream and so the enemy gets a fraction of the damage. This is absolutely fine provided you use it as automatic. Also, weapons that aren't fully automatic to begin with won't auto-fire the next clip. You need to re-click the mouse or trigger to start the next clip, whereas the fully auto by default weapons continue firing the next clip like normal. Real quick before we get into the weapons that go well with the Beam Emitter Augment, compatibility of this augment is quite simple. It cannot be used on any Remnant weapon, as they all use this technology anyway in some form or another. But for some strange reason, it also can't be paired with the Rika carbine. This is likely due to its natural electrical conduit's projectile type. All of the weapons work perfectly. Of course, the first thing that came to my mind was the Dhan. The Dhan has a very super crazy high DPS against shields with the burst augmentation, but its problem is that while the DPS is super high, it forces you to shoot 3 shots at once, making it overkill and a little worse than others. But if you place the Beam Emitter taking up a Kinetic Coil slot, the damage isn't decreased a whole lot, like 1 to 2%, and it gives you a Dhan that has a high rate of fire, is automatic, has perfect accuracy, perfect stability, and judging via the range of the paw, it is limited to 50 meters, which is about what it is anyway. But the range should be noted as a factor, as it makes this unsuitable for sniper rifles. Now, what other awesome weapon combinations can we come up with? The simplest way is to look at the standard DPS charts, as the DPS doesn't change, and look for one with high DPS, or just one that you like that has low accuracy and or stability problems. A weapon I'm coming to love recently is the Hesh, but its accuracy is awful, super low. Its stability is acceptable but nothing special, so let's take a look at that bad boy as a beam firing maniac of a shotgun. As with the Dhan, it feels very strange to use and aim with. My aim was just awful here, but this is due to just not being used to it. I personally don't use automatic weapons, but the stability issues are non-existent and you aren't losing pellets due to bad accuracy. I think the Sonid is a good test for the next one. It is to be assumed that the solid spin-up will remain a thing. This made single fire systems a no-go for it, not to mention it near half the DPS due to the rate of fire debuff. But as Just Protrusion mentioned it, let's have a little look. So hilarious and ridiculous, if only I knew the spin-up value to add that to the DPS. Note though that successive fire is attainable via perfectly timing your shots after the initial spin-up shot, but that's far too much work and is just a joke combination anyway. The Beam Sonid was quite cool though, with controlled stability and perfect accuracy. This thing is quite cool. As we found out in previous videos, specifically the assault rifle test video, the Sonid has such a large clip when paired with the magazine mod that even at fairly low levels, with a few health regen skills, you can easily maintain the fire as the regeneration kicks in before the clip empties, making a bioconverter's health drain a complete non-issue. As shown here, the Sonid, while not a great DPS, is still easily enough to kill a fiend on insanity with a medium soldier build. As usual, it's my skirmisher build. It doesn't even have soldier profile for this test. This also really showed just how much of a non-issue the range of 50 meters is on anything but a sniper rifle. The Beam Emitter Augment is now good. Used in inventive ways, you can really squeeze some good extra damage and utility from most weapons. It's also worth noting that with the full stability and accuracy, you can use mods that give a little extra damage or penetration while taking away accuracy and stability. You also don't need a scope or stock unless you actually want the scope to see through, but as it's a 50 meter beam, it's really not needed and if anything a hindrance to aiming. As far as mods go, it's not really much use using the dub mod extension. Stocks are pointless due to the full stability, scopes are mostly pointless due to perfect accuracy, and the beam cannot penetrate so no receiver needed. This leaves you with the barrel and mag on pistols and assault rifles, with the barrel and melee optimizer on shotguns when using the bioconverter, or the barrel and spare clip on shotguns if not. For the Dhan, you'll want the Beam Emitter Augment, burst fire system, and then fill with kinetic coils. For the Hesh, you'll want the Beam Emitter and fill with kinetic coils. The Sonid is also just the Beam Emitter with kinetic coils to fill. Essentially, any gun you want to put this on is at its best with whichever vanilla, single, burst or automatic fire systems gives it the highest DPS, and then the Beam Emitter added to override just the fire type aspect and give you its buffs and debuffs with the extra accuracy and stability. I'll be going through all of the best weapons, augment and mod combinations for different situations and preferences in an upcoming video, so be sure to look out for that. It will be a big culmination of all the research I've done since Mass Effect Andromeda came out. If you have specific weapons you would like me to do peak damage builds for, stick them in the comments and I'll do those in that video also if they aren't already on the best list. Thanks for watching folks, I really enjoyed making this one. I hope this has helped you better understand the benefits and drawbacks of the Beam Emitter Augment. Have lots of fun with it. If you liked this video please be sure to hit that like button. If you didn't then dislike is your friend. If you know anyone who may benefit from this video then sharing helps both me and your friend. Subscribe if you haven't already, and above all, have an awesome day folks.